Take a move. Cook, I'm tired now. Come on. See your mother is tired. The little Jungkook come out from the nearby cupboard and smiled towards her mother. Cook, Mama, see I told you, you can't catch me. They both giggled and his mother hugged him tightly and kissed his temple. They both were enjoying their time when the front door got open and little Jungkook happily stood up to hug his father, but he stopped when he saw his father holding a girl in his arms, and both their clothes are red from blood, and he wasn't able to see the girl's face as her hair were hiding her face. Jacob understand and led them to the living room. The little Jacob didn't say anything, and Jacob's father laid the girl on the couch, and Jacob saw her face, and for a second he was shocked to see the beauty of the girl. She is not more than an angel. Her soft feature, her cute little face, her eyes that were closed, but his closed doors were broken by his father's voice, and he gave his full attention. Jacob, Mom, honey, what happened to her and why? Jacob had nothing. That Alex killed her parents in revenge of the mafia position. You already know her father was giving the position to me as he didn't want her daughter to see that crew war. But Alex was enraged by this as Kim didn't trust his own brother Alex. Jacob, so Alex killed his own brother's family, but I went there at the right time, but still too late, as Kim and his wife were already dead. But this little angel was crying, and I just took her here so that I can save her, but I don't know how I will tell her about her parents. She doesn't deserve this cruel. She's too innocent for this world, but now we have no choice. Take him, Mom. Don't worry. We will take care of her and we'll keep her safe. She's the only heir of Kim's family. But now she's my daughter. She softly caressed her hair and kissed her temple. Jacob, Jungkook, come here. He called him and he walked towards his father. Jacob, now she's your responsibility too. My boy is 7 years old and he know how to protect her future wife, right? Little Jungkook nodded his head with an innocent smile. Jungkook, I will take care of her. Don't worry, right? His dad smiled and embraced his son tightly, and Jungkook smiled towards the little angel. Little explanation. Ryan is Mr. Kim's daughter and she is just 3 years old while JK is 7 and Alex is her Mr. Kim's brother who envies him because he got the master position, but Mr. Kim doesn't want to live in the dark hole anymore because of his daughter. He wants to give her a beautiful and peaceful life, so he decided to give his position to his best friend Mr. John because no, his brother will misuse his power if he become the king, but he is unaware about the plan of his brother. When Mr. John became the king, he killed Mr. Kim's family, but Mr. John came to see Miss Kim's family because he wanted to thank him, but he became shocked to see Alex killing his brother's family. He was able to save Ryan, but before he could take Mr. and Mrs. Kim to the hospital, they took their last breath. Three months later, Mrs. John is running behind two little figures. One is Jungkook and second is Ryan, who is slow compared to Jungkook. They were laughing and giggling. Suddenly, Ryan stumbled and fell on the ground. Jungkook and Mrs. John stopped and came to her in a flash. Little girl has little tears in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Mrs. John, oh my baby, come here. She took her in his arms. 3 year old Ryan hugged her tightly and started sobbing while Jungkook ran towards her room, came with a first aid box and started treating her knee, which were injured. Jungkook, Mom, I told you she is very small. She will injure herself, but you didn't listen and start playing. See now, she is injured. His mom smiled and patted his head, seeing his protective nature towards Ryan, and Ryan looked at him with her doe eyes which were teary. Jungkook, is it still hurting, Ryan? Ryan nodded, making Mrs. John to chuckle, and Jungkook raised her head, starting pampering her with his words. Like this, they all become family, and Ryan never felt empty because Mrs. and Mr. John was always there for her, and Jungkook always took care of her like she is delicate flower. And time started flying. Mr. John already gave the punishment to Alex and killed them, but he was unaware about the little child who started hating them, and he was none other than John. But the thing is, no one know about John because Alex kept him hidden from everyone else. Mr. John didn't know that Alex have a child or he would have adopted him. But John was with his dad's best friend who is teaching him to take how to take revenge on them. 50 years later, Brian, Dada, you can go and take care of her business. Mr. John, I can't leave you both alone, darling. Try to understand. Don't go, but Dad, I will take care of mine and make very careful. You can go and take care of your business. Why and Django keep pursuing Mr. and Mrs. John to go to America so that he can leave this mafia world and live peacefully. Mr. John already gave his position to his younger brother who is deserving too. But now Mr. John wants to take Ryan and Django both. He wants to take his whole family there, but Ryan and Django didn't want to go there. After arguing for hours, Mr. John got ready to go there with Mrs. John and Jungkook and Ryan become happy. Jungkook, okay, you will have a flyer for tomorrow. Ryan, take care of Dara. She embraced him and he tightly hugged her daughter. Mr. John, if anything happened, then just call me, okay? And you little brat, take care of my Ryan. If something happened to her, then I will see you. He pulled his ears and Jungkook chuckled and hissed, Jung, okay, Dad, I will take care of her daughter more than myself. Everyone laughed and Mr. and Mrs. John left for America, leaving two lovebirds alone. Jungkook, baby, come here and eat this. You can't leave food like this. You have to eat it, Ryan. I'm full cook. And they both started running and giggling. Ryan was not eating good lately and he was worried about her health. And caught her by her waist and she hung in the air and they both started laughing loudly. Ryan, okay, leave me. I will eat. Jungkook, sorry, my amma, but I don't trust you, so now I will feed you. Ryan, I'm fine with that. She grinned and he pinched her nose and took her to the table and sat her on his lap and started feeding her. Jungkook, I love you. She smiled and picked his lips. Ryan, we wanna know the secret of dad and mine. He nodded and became more attentive. Ryan, Dada told me that he will marry me off to his friend's son. In a moment, his grip on her face tighter and her face became a little serious. Jungkook, but Dad told me that he will marry me only. Ryan, no, he told me do not tell you this. She started laughing suddenly, seeing his serious expressions. Brian, I was joking. He told me he will arrange our marriage when he comes to take us. He chuckled and said, Jungkook, you little troublemaker, wait. He started tickling her and she started laughing loudly and like this they both spent their lovely time with each other. Brian played the piano and Jungkook was just admiring her. Her soft features playing the piano softly with the delicate fingers and her hair moved with slow air conditioner. Her eyes, which were closed, and her soft smile while playing the piano. After some time, she stopped and looked towards him with a smile. Ryan and Jungkook are talking on call, and she is driving to pick Jungkook up as his car got punctured, and she didn't want him to take a taxi, so she told him that she will come, but he denied. But she is stubborn and came and called him to wait. He left with no choice. Jungkook on call, didn't I told you to stay at home? Ryan, so what? Can't I come to pick my soon-to-be husband? Hmm? She smiled by listening to him chuckling on call. Ryan, Jungkook, don't hang up until I see you in front of me. She hummed and kept driving, but when she was about to pull brake, the brake didn't work. She tried hard, but they didn't work. She didn't say anything knowing Jungkook is listening, but her heart came in her throat, seeing a big truck coming from the wrong direction. Jungkook, the brakes are not working. She tried to sound fine, but her fear of not seeing him anymore is bigger. Jungkook, my amor, tried to hold on. Just try to pull the car in an area where there's no one. Man, please, if anything happened to me, don't give up on me, please. Her throat became more heavy, seeing the truck coming in a direction with full speed. Jungkook, nothing gonna happen, just try to pull the car. His desperate voice was cracking. Man, please, Jungkook, I don't wanna die. I love Jungkook. Why, my amor, why are you not saying anything? His tears started falling like a fountain. No, this can't be. Jungkook was impatiently waiting for the doctor and the person who looked Ryan who was standing nearby. Hey, it's June. I think this belongs to her. He gave her a pendant which he took with his trembling hands. Jungkook, it's my Ryan's pendant. He opened that and says, pick. John, it's a couple pendant. Jungkook nodded and took out his pendant from his shirt. It was hidden behind his shirt. Jungkook, it's her pick. His tears fall, seeing her laughing in the picture. Jungkook, don't worry, she will be fine. He nodded. After 5 hours, they become more suspicious because there is silence everywhere. Jungkook stood up and looked towards the room, then at John. Jungkook, I think something is wrong, Young. John, I think too. They both looked at each other and knocked on the door, but no one replied, so they both nodded towards each other and broke the door and seen what inside was. After 1 month, Mrs. John, don't worry, Jungkook, we will find her. Jungkook, he chuckled bitterly. It's been 1 month since I got a single glimpse of her, and Dad is also tense and angry towards me, and I deserve it. I failed, Mom, I failed. He cried on his mother's lap. After 4 months, they got to know about Ryan with the help of Mr. John's brother, who is in the mafia. They got to know that a boy named John is keeping Ryan safe. They don't know that John kidnapped her. They just know that John found Ryan near the beach and some enemies of Mr. John kidnapped. And when they tried to take Ryan with them, John told them that it will affect Ryan's health, so she lost her memory. And if unknown people come in front of her, she can go into a coma. At first, they didn't consider him, but after a month, they considered his request and tell them he will keep her safe and will give them back when she will get her memory back. But Jungkook was against it. He don't want Ryan to live with a stranger. But when they asked Ryan, she chose to stay with John, and they all gave up as they couldn't go against her. But Jungkook was still stubborn, and from that day he started stalking her because he was suspicious of John, and he started working with his uncle, Mr. John's brother, and started digging into John's. And the day before John attack on Brian, Jungkook got to know everything that John is Brian's uncle's son. He wanted to take revenge of his parent dad who was killed by Jungkook's parents, and that is why he was keeping Brian with himself, but he was late. End of past. Present, Jungkook. Maybe she is getting flashbacks. The tears. He wiped the tears which came without his knowledge. Jungkook come inside the room and say Ryan sitting on the bed thinking something. Jungkook, hey Ryan, something happened. She looked towards him. Why, nothing. Why? Jungkook, no, you were deeply in thoughts, that's why I asked. She shook her head and he nodded. I remember something, Why? Jungkook, actually my parents are coming tomorrow to meet you. You were close to them before your memory loss. Ryan, who I am to you? Jungkook, everything. She looked into his eyes and the way he didn't even hesitate. Jungkook, and be comfortable, okay? They won't harm you, and even they can't even think something like this. Ryan, She nodded and smiled, and he also gave back the soft, longing smile, and they both slept. Next day, Ryan and Jungkook was sitting in the living room and waiting for his parent when the front door got open and two figures entered the living room, and Ryan and Jungkook stood up. Jungkook walked towards them, and Ryan also stood, followed him. They hugged Jungkook and then they came in front of Ryan and Mrs. John started crying and embraced her in a tight hug. Mrs. John, how are you, my baby? Does something hurt anywhere? Ryan. She just shook her head and smiled. Mrs. John was not letting Ryan to go and Mrs. John grinned and sighed, Mr. John, now leave my daughter, let me see her too. Mrs. John chuckled and left Ryan and Mr. John came in front of Ryan and his tears fell and he laughed. Mr. John, don't worry, it's just I became emotional seeing you after so long. He chuckled, but you don't remember your dada, he mumbled. He was standing and was about to wipe his tear when her little hands came and wiped his tear. He looked at her with his red, teary eyes. Fine. I don't feel okay seeing my dad crying. Don't try, please. He also started sobbing and hugged him tightly. Jago and Mrs. John looked at each other in shock while Mr. John and Brian were crying in each other's embrace. Brian, Dada, I miss you. He hurt me. He didn't listen to me and hit me. See this? She complained to him like a child and he was listening to her silently. She showed him the places John beat her, and Mr. John cupped her cheeks. Mr. John, don't worry, nothing gonna happen now. I will take you with me. Hmm? She nodded and hugged him again while Jungkook came to them and asked with his trembling voice, Jungkook, Bayan, you got Bayan. She looked at him, still in Mr. John's embrace. My soon-to-be husband. He looked at her with his tears started falling, making Bayan feel bad. She pulled out from Mr. John's embrace and come to him. Don't cry. He nodded and hugged her. Jungkook, I missed you. I missed your everything. Every day was a punishment for me without you. Sorry, everything happened because of me. Why, nothing happened because of you. Don't blame yourself, Jungkook. You still love me. Everyone chuckled and Bayan smiled and cupped his face. Bayan, is it even a question? Of course I love you, my cook. Mrs. John, you forgot me. She complained, grinned, and Bayan hugged her tightly. Bayan, how can I forget my mama? I love you. She whined and glued to her chest, making everyone laugh. Jaggu and Bayan come to their room, and as they entered, Jaggu pinned her to the door and looked at her with his intense eyes. Jungkook, when you got your memory back, Amor? She looked at him. When I wake up from unconscious. Jungkook, and you didn't tell me. Bayan, I was about to, Mr. Stalker. She chuckled in his raspy voice and pulled her closer, removing the gap between them. Did you know how much I suffered? Bayan, I'm sorry, Jungkook. I don't need your sorry, darling. She looked at him. Jungkook, but you need punishment. He smiled suddenly. She patted her hands, being handcuffed. He smiled. Bayan, when you got this fight, he smiled and grabbed her throat softly yet dominantly. Jungkook, I need you to cooperate, my more. She got caught when he took her in his arms, started walking towards the bed, laid her softly. Jungkook, I missed you. He kissed your temper. I deleted. He kissed your eyes. I was suffering without you. Kissed your lips and deepened the kiss, making her breathless. He softly looked at her eyes and she nodded with sincerity, making him kiss her forehead. Jungkook, my lap is very important because it's you. He softly removed her clothes and they both spent the night with each other making love. The sincerity of their love showed in his eyes. After 6 months, Jungkook was wearing his black coat, looking dangerously handsome with the expression impatiently waiting for Ryan. And his eyes blazed when the front door opened and she started walking the aisle with Mr. John, who is smiling with teary eyes. He didn't know when they came in front of him, and Mr. John gave her hand. Mr. John, take care of my daughter, or it will take much time to beat the shit out of you, my son. Mrs. John chuckled. Mr. John, both are your children, Mr. John. They laughed, except Jaggu, who was just looking at Bain without blinking. Mr. John, to earth, Mr. John the cook. He smacked his head and they laughed at him, making Bain shy. Bain, stop teasing him, Dada. Mrs. John, yes, yes, stop teasing her husband. Her blush became darker. Okay, now let's start the marriage. Soon the wedding completed and they had family dinner with some of their relatives, whereas both the couple were tired. 1 year later, Bain, Mijun. One shouted and came downstairs with her heavy boots. Jungkook, what happened, darling? Mijun is not in the quiet. Jungkook laughed and he indicated her to look in front, and Bain took a deep breath of relief. Mama, at least tell me when you take Mijun. Bain, my heart came in my throat not seeing my baby in the cry. Mrs. John smiled and came towards them. Mrs. John, my baby, you just gave birth and it's not good for your health to wake up this much. Your body needs rest. It only been 5 months that you gave birth to my grandson, Mijun. Bayan, she giggled. There is Dada, Mrs. John. He said he went to take a cast. Bayan, someone is coming. Who? No one knows. Evening. Everyone was waiting for Mr. John because he said he was coming with someone and everyone thing is prepared. Soon the front door got opened by Mr. John and everyone stood up. Mine became numb seeing the person who entered the mansion with his gaze low while Jungle's blood poured, seeing Mr. John, before anyone misunderstood anything, let me explain to you everything. Mr. John, no one knew that Alex had a son, not even Kim. So when his parents got to know everything, they hid John and gave him to his best friend. And he grew up with them by Alex's best friend always feeling with hate towards us and mine. And he even gave him drugs so that his conscious mind will lose the ability of thinking by his own. Mr. John, and he keeps fine with himself said because that time Alex's best friend didn't feed him drugs or something. But when he started his work, John started losing his mind. And that night when he attacked on Brian, his conscious mind was dead. And he was also only following demand of Alex's best friend. And when I cased him, I got to know about his condition and took him to the hospital. Mr. John, and there the doctor kept him for a year and he recovered very hardly because the drug and all he consumed were powerful, but still he recovered and now he wants to apologize to Ryan. Val looked towards him with her tired, teary eyes, and John and Ryan made eye contact, both their eyes teary. John fell on his knees in front of Ryan. John, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Please punish me, but don't snatch my only family, my only sister. I really wanted to keep you, that's why I was cold because I didn't want you to hurt you. That day when I hurt you because I'm fine. Now I would never even think about this. Please let me be with my sister. Fine, I hope you are not lying, brother. Maya smiled and they both embraced each other and everyone smiled, but Jungle was still suspicious, but nonetheless he also smiled and hugged. After 1 month, everyone came to have dinner, but everyone was sulking over something and Junko, he's my child, I will feed him. He said in his cold voice, Stone, he's my sister's son, so he is also mine. He also said in his cold voice, Mr. Young, he's my grandson. Both of you leave him and give him to me. They all are arguing about who will kill Meijun while Bayan and Miss Jung were just looking at them with a done expression. Mine, Mama, let's eat. Keep them arguing. They both nodded and started eating with John. Jungkook and Mr. John looking at each other with cold eyes. Vian, give Mijun to me, she said coldly, and three of them looked at each other, then at her, and gulped hard, gave her Mijun, and everyone laughed, seeing them scared of Vian, while Mrs. Jung shook her head, and they all started eating peacefully. And this is how their life is going. Family is happy with each other, and John become like a son to Mr. John and live with them.